Are there any specific examples of works in which the material, whether that's gold or cowrie shells, signals something about the aesthetic value in its community of origin?
One great example would be the late 19th or early 20th century, the so-called leopard caryatid stool from one of the many kingdoms or chiefdoms of Cameroon, Bandjoun, that is now in the Cleveland Museum of Art, where you have a wooden stool covered with fabric and then wrapped with fabric, textile, and the textile itself is completely embroidered with beads of various colors and sizes, beads that were imported from as far away as Venice and what is today the Czech Republic. So the beads were a rare commodity used as currency and signified wealth and pointed to this long-distance trade and communication across the continent and even with faraway Europe from an early time period onwards. The beads were the exclusive material for bead workers that were associated with the royal court and made works of art that were destined to the chief, the king, and his retinue. So the material itself was exclusively reserved to this particular rank within society. But then the stool itself was also an object that was not commonly and widely used. It was reserved, again, in this particular case, to the king or the chief. And the fact that the stool has the leopard figure as a caryatid element combining the base with the seating element is another important factor, because the leopard is one of many royal animals in the Cameroon, meaning that the animal itself will be reserved to the king. The king will decide what happens to the animal's carcass. But there's also the idea that a king or a chief has a mystical association with these kinds of predators, and that in Bandjoun, the idea was that the king could occasionally transform himself at night into the shape of a leopard and roam around the village in order to guard and defend the village from any intruders or negative influences. And so an attribute that signals the chief's superpowers, the fact that he's a semi-divine being, that he's more than just a normal political ruler, that you have the leopard imagery so present, so visible. But of course, the fact that it's combined with then these colorful, valuable beads reinforces this whole idea of status and special meaning associated with that object.